What if I told you that some of the biggest songs in hip-hop history, the ones you've played on repeat, the ones that made Drake a global superstar, might not even be his own creations? That's the nuclear question Kendrick Lamar just dropped on the culture, and fans are losing their minds. This isn't just another diss track or casual jab. Kendrick is planting a flag in the middle of the rap game, hinting that the hits which turned Drake into a chart-topping machine may have been built on ghostwriting, behind-the-scenes deals, and voices the public never heard. And if that's true, what does it mean for Drake's crown? Can a king really rule if the words that built his empire weren't truly his? The streets are buzzing, hip-hop blogs are on fire, and fans are already splitting into two camps: the ones defending Drake's legacy at all costs, and the ones saying Kendrick just exposed the biggest secret in rap. But one thing is undeniable: Kendrick didn't just spark beef, he sparked doubt. And in hip-hop, doubt can kill faster than a diss track ever will. For more than a decade, Drake has stood as one of the biggest names in music, not just in hip-hop, but across the entire global stage. From Take Care to God's Plan and One Dance, his songs have dominated charts, clubs, and playlists worldwide. To many, he's not just a rapper. He's the hitmaker, the voice of an era, the artist who turned rap into pop without losing his spot on top. But with every crown comes criticism, and for Drake, that criticism has always centered around one word: authenticity. The whispers of ghostwriting have followed him for years. Back in 2015, when Meek Mill accused Drake of using Quentin Miller to pen some of his verses, the entire culture nearly imploded. Drake responded with back-to-back, one of the most brutal diss tracks in modern rap history, and the world moved on. Or so it seemed. But deep down, the doubts never fully disappeared. Fast forward to today, and Kendrick Lamar has poured gasoline on that old fire. During a live performance and through cryptic bars, Kendrick hinted that some of the biggest songs in Drake's catalog weren't really his. Not in the sense of production, help, or collaboration, which is common in the industry, but in the sense of relying heavily on other voices to shape what the world believes are his masterpieces. Kendrick's timing is key. Hip-hop right now is in a state of war. With his recent lyrical attacks, Kendrick has positioned himself as the culture's truth-teller, the one artist bold enough to strip away the gloss and challenge Drake's legacy. By raising this question, Kendrick isn't just aiming at Drake's ego, he's aiming at the very foundation of Drake's empire, his reputation as a songwriter and storyteller. For fans, this is more than a rap battle, it's a cultural debate. Drake has always branded himself as the artist who blends vulnerability with swagger. Someone who can pour his heart into a verse and still deliver club anthems that shake arenas. But if those vulnerable lyrics, those powerful hooks, weren't really his, then what's left of the Drake we know? Meanwhile, Kendrick has carefully built his own image as the anti-Drake, a lyrical purist, a writer who bleeds authenticity into every word, every bar, every project. By questioning Drake's authorship, Kendrick is not only tearing down a rival, but also elevating himself as the artist who represents real hip-hop. In short, the stage is set for the biggest credibility war the genre has seen in years. And whether the rumors are true or not, Kendrick has planted doubt in a place where doubt is deadly. The minds of fans who believed in Drake's words, the moment Kendrick's words echoed through the crowd. Hip-hop felt the tremor. His cryptic jab wasn't just another diss line. It was a direct strike at the core of Drake's career. The idea that the Sixth God might not have penned some of his most iconic hits instantly reignited one of the genre's oldest and ugliest debates. Is Drake really the artist we think he is? Or is he the polished face of other people's work?
Fans
didn't take long to react. Within hours, social media was ablaze. On Twitter, Hashtags like #GHOSTWRITERgate and #DrakeExposed began trending worldwide. Instagram Reels and TikTok edits spliced together old interviews, studio footage, and even lyrics that people now claim don't sound like Drake at all. Overnight, a new storm was born, and its lightning rod was Kendrick Lamar. But this wasn't just about music. This was about credibility, the lifeblood of hip-hop. Unlike pop or R&B, where ghostwriting is often shrugged off as part of the business, rap has always been about authenticity. The words an MC spits are supposed to be their own truth. To accuse someone of faking that truth is to accuse them of breaking the very rules of the culture. And Kendrick knows this. He didn't need to scream or name names outright. His sly suggestion was enough. With surgical precision, he tapped into the one wound Drake has never fully healed. The ghostwriting accusations first exposed by Meek Mill nearly a decade ago. Though Drake appeared to win that battle, the scars never disappeared. And Kendrick, ever the tactician, ripped them wide open. The industry, too, began to whisper. Veteran producers and anonymous insiders started resurfacing old claims about reference tracks and studio sessions where Drake supposedly leaned on writers more heavily than he admitted. Some dismissed it as clout chasing, but others hinted that Kendrick's words may not be empty shots, that perhaps he knows more than the public does. After all, in hip-hop, when an artist of Kendrick's caliber speaks, it's rarely without receipts. But here's where the twist comes in. Instead of ducking or staying quiet, Drake leaned into the controversy. During a surprise after-party performance in Toronto, he smirked into the mic and dropped a line that sent chills through the crowd. They say, "My pen ain't mine, but these checks, they sure are." The crowd roared, but the message was clear. Drake was trying to flip the narrative, framing the ghostwriting allegations as irrelevant in the face of his success. To him, hits are hits, whether or not his hand wrote every word, but to the hip-hop purists, this only added fuel to the fire. It wasn't a denial, wasn't a defense. It was an open admission that maybe, just maybe, the rumors had teeth. And Kendrick, he hasn't backed down. In fact, insiders claim he's holding back even sharper lines for his next track. A verse that will push this battle into uncharted territory. If that's true, we may be on the edge of not just a beef, but a cultural reckoning, one that forces the industry to decide what matters more, authenticity or dominance. If the first shots felt like a tremor, what happened next was a full-blown earthquake. The ghostwriting debate that Kendrick reignited wasn't just buzzing online. It started creeping into radio interviews, podcasts, and even mainstream news outlets. Suddenly, every hip-hop show host wanted to know, is Drake really the mastermind behind his biggest hits, or has Kendrick just blown the lid off something we weren't supposed to see? Then came the reveal that turned whispers into explosions. An unreleased reference track, allegedly tied to one of Drake's chart-topping singles, leaked online. The voice wasn't Drake's. It belonged to a lesser-known songwriter who fans quickly identified, and the lyrics matched almost word for word with the hit that dominated Billboard for weeks. Whether authentic or not, the damage was immediate. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Blogs ran headlines screaming that Kendrick had forced the truth out. This was no longer just a rap beef, it was a credibility crisis. And Kendrick knew exactly how to play it. In a freestyle that surfaced days later, he doubled down without ever naming Drake directly. Spitting, "If the crown fits but the pen slips, tell me who's the king." Really? The crowd's reaction was deafening. The line went viral, clipped and replayed millions of times across TikTok and Twitter. Fans weren't just entertained, they were questioning everything they thought they knew about Drake's empire. Drake, however, wasn't going to let the narrative bury him alive. His response came in the form of a slick Instagram post. A photo of himself in the studio, pen in hand, with the caption, "Still writing my story." But instead of putting out the fire, it fanned the flames. Comment sections were split down the middle, some defending him fiercely, others laughing at what they saw as a desperate PR move. Behind the scenes, industry insiders hinted that more damaging evidence could surface. One journalist even claimed Kendrick's camp has receipts, hard proof that multiple ghostwriters contributed to some of Drake's most beloved tracks. If that's true, it would mean Kendrick has been holding ammunition this entire time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And here's the twist no one saw coming. Even some of Drake's own fans began to shift. The loyalty was still there, but it wasn't blind anymore. Hip-hop culture has always valued authenticity above all else. And for the first time in years, cracks were appearing in Drake's armor. His dominance, once untouchable, suddenly looked vulnerable. Kendrick didn't just question Drake's artistry. He created a storm that could redefine what it means to be a legend in hip-hop. Because if the pen really isn't his, then the crown he wears might not be his either. The moment Kendrick threw that lyrical grenade, the hip-hop world didn't just react, it exploded. Fans, media outlets, and industry insiders all weighed in, and the debate quickly became the most heated cultural conversation of the year. On Twitter, hashtags like #DrakeExposed and #KendrickTruthBomb shot to the top of trending charts. Fans flooded timelines with old clips of Drake freestyling, dissecting every bar for signs of authenticity or lack thereof. Some claimed they had always suspected Drake leaned too heavily on his team, while others defended him fiercely, arguing that collaboration is part of the music business. Michael Jackson didn't write all his songs either, one fan tweeted, but no one doubts his greatness. Podcasts and radio shows couldn't get enough of the controversy. Hot 97, The Breakfast Club, and countless YouTube commentators made the Kendrick vs. Drake ghostwriting saga their top story. Charlemagne Thaw God went so far as to call it the biggest credibility test of Drake's career. He added, "If Kendrick has receipts, it's game over for Drizzy." That single comment sent shockwaves across the hip-hop community, with clips of it going viral within hours. The industry's response was even more telling. Several artists remained quiet, a silence that spoke volumes. But a few couldn't resist jumping into the storm. Meek Mill, who famously clashed with Drake over ghostwriting years ago, posted a cryptic tweet, "Told y'all back in 2015. The timing wasn't lost on fans, who instantly connected the dots and revived old memes mocking Drake's alleged use of writers. Meanwhile, Kendrick's peers seemed to circle around him. J. Cole, though careful not to take sides directly, praised Kendrick's fearless authenticity during a recent performance, a line that many interpreted as subtle shade toward Drake. Underground rappers also chimed in, applauding Kendrick for reminding the game what real lyricism looks like. Even outside of hip-hop, the conversation bled into pop culture. Late-night hosts cracked jokes about Drake needing a ghostwriter for his Instagram captions. ESPN commentators debated the feud during halftime shows. Suddenly, it wasn't just a hip-hop beef. It was mainstream entertainment. Drake's fanbase, however, didn't fold easily. His supporters pushed back, arguing that he still sells out stadiums, breaks streaming records, and remains one of the most versatile hitmakers in the industry. They claimed Kendrick was just jealous of Drake's commercial dominance. But here's the twist: for the first time, that defense didn't feel airtight. There was doubt. There was hesitation. Music executives reportedly began whispering about the long-term impact. Could Drake's brand take a hit with endorsement deals if the ghostwriting allegations gained traction? Could award committees rethink his legacy? Those questions, once unthinkable, were now being asked out loud. In short, Kendrick had done more than spark a diss war. he had shifted the narrative around one of hip-hop's biggest icons. Fans weren't just debating who had the better bars, they were questioning who was truly authentic. And in hip-hop, that question is deadly. Just when the dust seemed like it might settle, the feud took an unexpected twist that no one saw coming. Screenshots began circulating online of what appeared to be leaked reference tracks, demos, allegedly showing other writers laying down verses that sounded eerily similar to some of Drake's biggest hits. Whether they were real or cleverly fabricated didn't matter, the internet ran with them. And suddenly, the whispers turned into roars. Fans dissected the supposed leaks frame by frame, bar by bar. YouTube reactors claimed they could hear Drake's flow, but someone else's pen. On TikTok, creators mashed up Kendrick's diss with clips from the alleged reference tracks, creating viral edits that painted Drake as the ultimate fraud. It was chaos, and every hour brought new evidence to the table. But here's where it got even wilder. Drake himself didn't stay silent. Instead of dropping another diss track, he surprised fans with a cryptic Instagram post, a single, black and white photo of himself in the studio, captioned, "They feared the truth more than the lie." That one sentence flipped the narrative again. Was he denying the ghostwriting claims, hinting at a counter-expose? Or was it a warning shot that he had dirt on Kendrick too? The industry was buzzing. Insiders suggested Drake might have been preparing a nuclear response, not just a diss track, but a full documentary-style breakdown of his process to reclaim his credibility. Others speculated he had information that could damage Kendrick's pristine image if revealed. Suddenly, the man who looked cornered didn't seem so vulnerable anymore. Meanwhile, Kendrick only added fuel to the fire. During a surprise appearance at a packed show in Chicago, he stopped mid-performance, looked straight into the camera, and said, "The pen don't lie." He didn't name Drake directly, but everyone in that arena, and millions online, knew exactly who he meant now. The hip-hop world is split down the middle. On one side, fans believe Kendrick has finally exposed a truth that could rewrite Drake's legacy forever. On the other, supporters argue Drake is about to unleash something so massive that Kendrick might regret poking the bear. One thing's for certain, this isn't just a rap beef anymore. This is a war for authenticity, legacy, and the very definition of what it means to be hip-hop. And the scariest part, the next move hasn't even been made yet, so here we are. The world is watching, the stage is set, and the stakes have never been higher. Kendrick has thrown down a challenge that cuts deeper than money, streams, or chart positions. He's questioning Drake's authenticity, the one thing that defines true greatness in hip-hop. For Drake, the only way forward is clear. Either prove that he is the pen behind the empire, or strike back so hard that the ghostwriting accusations no longer matter. But this is where you come in. Because at the end of the day, hip-hop has always been about the people. About the fans who decide what's real, what's fake, and who earns the crown. Right now, the culture isn't just watching, it's deciding. Do you believe Kendrick has finally exposed the cracks in Drake's empire? Or do you think Drake is about to flip the narrative and remind everyone why he's one of the biggest artists of all time? One thing's undeniable. This is history unfolding in real time. Future generations are going to look back at this moment as a turning point, not just in the Kendrick versus Drake saga, but in the evolution of the genre itself. So don't just scroll past. Join the conversation. Drop your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments below. Who do you ride with, Kendrick, the lyrical assassin demanding respect for the art? Or Drake, the global superstar who might just prove that even with the weight of controversy, he's untouchable? This is more than beef. This is about the truth. And whichever side you're on, the next move could change hip-hop forever.